Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Undying Offlane, Undying Core. This is a cool build you can do in the new patch, and it's very effective. So, if you don't know what they changed about this hero, they made Tombstone a little bit worse. They increased the mana cost of Tombstone. They made the cast point of Tombstone worse. So, I guess I'm not really selling the hero. The main thing that they did, basically, is in the past, when you decayed someone, you would only temporarily gain their HP. So basically what that means is that when your decay stack expired, you just lost the health, right? So if you're at 400 HP with decays, decay would end, you would just drop to like 200 out of nowhere, right? Every time you lost a decay stack, you would lose 80 HP, right? That's how much strength it is. And considering you've been decaying consistently, your HP would just drop and drop and drop. By the 2-3 minute mark, you're out of health and you're probably either kicked out of lane or you have to buy 2 or 3 salves to sustain. This was the case with Old Undying. You would have to spam regen just to function in the lane. But that is no longer the case because of this change. On top of that, Decay's cast time has been halved. No, not halved. I'm sorry. It's a 33% improvement. But it feels way better than that. So even though this ability does less damage now, Decay actually was nerfed in terms of damage. Technically, it does more at max, which is good because it helps you one-shot creep waves. It's interesting in that regard. You can take the decay talent to do that, but mainly I just want to focus. This was like a worst case scenario lane. I'm not going to focus on it too much. I want to get into the hilarious mid game. I'll quickly show the item build that I go. It's a soul ring boots into mana boots, and I hate going soul ring mana boots on like every hero. I think this item build generally is like horrendous because all it means is that you're buying a ton of mana, which generally means you can't trade well. So I'm still thinking about this build. I think I'm a bit on the fence about buying so much mana regen, but then I go for drums. After drums, I bought my shard. After shard, I go Aetherlands. After Aetherlands, I go wand and ags. I actually go tranquil boots, which feel pretty good. The only thing I would say is I think before ags you could buy, or even before Aetherlands, you could buy phase boots and plate mail. You could go drums, plate mail, phase boots. And the reason why is Undying has no armor. He has literally no armor. You need a plate mail. At some point in the game, you need a plate mail. Like this game, I didn't buy it early, and it really was bad. It killed me one time. Very noticeably killed me one time. And so yeah, I eventually picked it up, and then you become unkillable. You just need a tad of armor. So essentially in the lane, you want to decay a ton, especially if the enemy doesn't buy a stick against you. You really want to decay a ton, and the reason why is you just gain the HP over time. So basically, it's a heal. So even if this guy pressures me, what's interesting is that, and honestly, this is part of the reason why I'm even considering going Aura Venom, because you can just trade, like you can aggressively trade and chase people, and then you heal, right? When the decay ends, which I'll skip ahead a bit to, you basically heal because whatever your HP is, right? Let's say it's 1,005. So when your max HP drops because you lose a decay stack, it acts as if you have 1,000 HP, so it will top you off. Right, we'll see a stack probably end shortly here, as yeah, there you go. You see I'm full HP, so you're basically getting every 45 seconds. It's actually way better than that because it's a 10-second cooldown. So at some point, at around every, let's say 13, 14, 15 seconds, 80 HP of healing. That's insane, right? And you can hit 2-man decays, and it's easier than ever to hit 2-man decays with the buff to the cast time. Like the cast time of the Q is extremely noticeable, how much better it is, as I get denied there. Now, unfortunately, this lane was horrible. Monkey King is like one of the best heroes against Undying because it actually can deal with the decays. It just like out heals you. It's one of the only heroes that basically out heals you. And then Enchantress 1v1 beats up Mirana, so my Mirana couldn't really help me too much. It was kind of just a disaster. Now, I am very, very anti-Soul Ring. I'm very anti-Soul Ring. Why? Because it costs HP to use, so I would never recommend Soul Ring Rush on like any hero. It's basically never good. And when people do it, it's usually bad. Like on Bristle, they're usually griefing because they just kill their HP pools. So why do I do it on this hero? Well, Soul Ring gives you 150 mana. Decay plus Soul Rip is only 175 mana. So for 25 mana, you can heal yourself twice, right? And you can decay the enemy. And it's really cool, right? So basically you can rush Soul Ring, and then the health you consume, you more than heal, right? As long as there's a bunch of units, which it's up to 10 max units, which is pretty reasonable. If there's a creep wave and a couple heroes, you're gonna get those 10 units, and then you're gonna get 150 HP from Soul Rip if there's 10 units, and then you're gonna heal 80 from Decay. So you out heal the Soul Ring, and you get to decay the enemy. So it's a little bit weird, but essentially allows you to infinitely sustain Decay. You can just, not literally infinitely, as Decay cooldown is lower than Soul Ring cooldown, but you can use it way more. So I think it's one of the only heroes that can legitimately justify and should actually rush Soul Ring. And what's great about Soul Ring is it's the perfect build-up. You only have 2 base armor, you desperately need Ring of Protection, this is a bug, and then you want just a ton of strength, because the goal of Undying, if you're not against like Monkey King, if you're against most heroes that can't just bully you, then you can just play to deny. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not really playing to pressure too much, even though I actually could, and I'm thinking about just playing ultra aggro. Kind of depends on the support matchup. Like this game, I just have an unfavorable support one-on-one, and so I knew it was going to be hard for me to trade. But like you can see, a couple autos, I'm hitting for 80 right now. Like I'm chunking, but it's a little bit awkward. Either way, we're going to skip ahead. I unfortunately couldn't really get any kills this lane. I also would consider taking Tombstone at level 2 if I have like a Crystal Maiden in lane, and we're going to hit level 2 and get a kill. Right? So if I have a Lion or a Crystal Maiden, any sort of long form disable, then I would consider the Tombstone at level 2. Other than that, especially in a lane like this where I'm just playing to live and heal myself with Decay essentially, I'm going to be taking the Soul Ring. And essentially as the lane progresses, once you hit level 3, this is typically when you'll start kind of owning the lane. We actually ended up getting a kill here. I'll show this off. But this is typically when you start owning the lane, because Decay goes down in cooldown, which is nice. It actually gains 40 damage, which is pretty significant. It adds up. And so yeah, the ability just becomes quite a bit better. I actually consider taking, honestly think Soul Rip, the second point is Soul Rip might be better. The reason why is it's nearly a doubling in damage. It brings it up to a total of, what is it, 500? 250 damage, my bad. I couldn't do the math. So it is very significant if you catch them in a big creep wave. So it can be good, right? It can be a total of 250 damage. Rana hit a nice little arrow there. Let me pick up the kill. And this guy's max HP is just so low, right, from the decays. He's missing, what is 8 strength? 160 HP. So I decay him up. He has like very little HP, and we take him down. So yeah, you can imagine if this is like what a bad lane theoretically looks like. This Nature's Prophet dumpstered in lane. Sheesh. But if this is what a bad lane looks like, you can imagine what a good lane looks like, right? It can be way better than this. Considering I think Mirana is also horrible with Undying, because really what you want with Undying is the ability to pursue enemies when they have no strength. So you want some sort of disable. In terms of heroes, as I mentioned earlier, CM could be good, Hoodwink could be good. Anyone with a generally reliable disable is going to be really good for your hero. And you can see why you kind of want Mana Boots. If you're going this skill build, I decided to actually take 2 points in Soul Rip because it does scale really well. And this skill build can be super legit at just like nuking out the safe laner. You can just cast spells on the safe laner off cooldown, and it's very hard for them to do anything about it as long as you click them occasionally. Because, as I mentioned earlier, you're healing with Decay, right? So you're chipping them with Decay, you're dropping their HP, you're hitting harder because you're stealing their strength, and you're chipping them down. So unfortunately in this lane, I had to just like spam Decay him sort of defensively. I had to kind of just put him in an awkward position, but look at that. Like a couple of Decays, and a Soul Rip puts this guy to 200 HP, right? He just dies to a gang. And it's just from, literally just from the tree line, just decaying him off cooldown. And so in an aggressive matchup, if you can hit them occasionally, they're just gonna have no HP. And if there was a stun, right, if it wasn't some guy chucking blind arrows with no setup stun, then we would just kill him. And we can look to pressure the tower with the card a little bit. Unfortunately, I can't really tank it with only 5 armor. But either way, yeah, this hero, its laning stage is insanely good now. Now, in terms of rotations, I'm generally farming because the hero scales really well. So you are looking to fight, and you want to fight with your Flesh Golem, especially on this drums timing. This is when your hero becomes quite strong. I actually should have also purchased a wand and a windlace. You want to double down on this early game movement speed, which is why phase boots can be good. But you want to double down in the early game movement speed. Phase boots, wand, windlace, get these early items. I even could have a range drop right now, and I could basically be buying every single small item that would enable these early team fights. Either way, the execution of the hero in team fights is pretty simple. You want to spam Decay as much as humanly possible. If you max Soul Rip, you need to use it as much as possible. It's only a 6-second cooldown. one of the biggest mistakes you can make is not spamming your abilities. Like, people will play Undying and they just either forget or don't or whatever it is. Like, for instance, even here, I should Soul Rip myself. Like, I should have already had a Soul Rip going. I drop it onto the Enchantress, which is not bad. But at this point, I get gone on by Invoker. But I have 2k HP and quite a bit of armor. Right? Quite a bit of armor. And from there, we just chase them down. We got some Tombstone zombies going out. And we're eventually going to chase down the Massage. And unfortunately, you don't really get to see the prowess of the hero here. They were just running away. My team at this point was kind of stomping. I'll skip ahead a little bit, though, into the next fight. So you might be wondering why Aether Lens, and this is definitely something I'm experimenting with. I'm not, like, completely sold on it. But the reason why is Decay and Soul Rip's cast range are pretty garbage. Even Tombstone is garbage. So if you, like, want to put it on a hill or whatever, it's very, very clunky. It's very clunky. And so Aether Lens kind of helps you cast Decay and Soul Rip without wildly overcommitting. Because you have to understand, that might sound weird. It's like, I'm running in, I'm Undying. Why do I need to, kite in, kite out? You don't always just run in. Like, you're not that tanky, right? Before you build up decays, especially, and before Ags, you're not that tanky. And so, funny enough, in this clip here, I should have dropped the Tombstone way further back, because I assumed they were going to chase as my guy goes in. And basically, I should have ran in earlier here. Bit of a wuss move. I even make the mistake of not soul ripping this guy. But this is where the Undying slow comes into play with the Shard. So what the Shard does is it lowers the cooldown of your ult by 35 seconds, which is huge, because it lets your hero just be way more active, because Undying is trash without his ulti. So I think buying the early Shard is absolutely necessary. So it's only a 50-second downtime, which is very short. So yeah, you'll see as I go on this Invoker, everything that's doing damage to him, which isn't a lot right now, but everything that's doing damage is getting amped by 30%. He's also slowed by 45%, and I'm getting a movement speed bonus of 40%. And I have a bunch of movement speed items, and I pop drums, which percentage-based amps my movement speed, which is why you need Winlays. Phase boots are very good. Drums are very good. You want to generally double down on movement speed and buy movement speed items, because when you auto-attack, you spawn zombies. Those slow. So you basically just stick on top of every single target, and you can just bop them down. Unfortunately, I didn't soul rip my Huskar like I should have, but because I stick on top of this Monkey King with my Flesh Golem, the burning spears that are on him do a significantly larger amount of damage than they otherwise would have, right? You can see him, I mean, he does have 9 stacks, don't get me wrong, but, it significantly amps the amount of damage, probably taking an extra 100 damage from that burning spears there, and that was really nice. In terms of talents, by the way, I took 60 decay damage, which I don't think you have to. The thing is, it's really nice for, I think it lets you 2-shot creep waves with decay. I believe decay does not cleanly 2-shot waves without the decay talent. I used to play this build in the past, a variation of it on support, and you would take decay damage to 2-shot waves. Part of the reason why Aether Lens is good, you can clear waves without showing your hero. And then I took Soul Rip damage heal. I honestly think the Tombstone zombie damage is probably generally better with the Shard build, just because you're building up so many zombies on whoever you go on. So I would probably take the zombie damage most of the time. Even though the Shard heal, I mean the bonus heal is quite good. It's less, no, it's technically slightly more than a point in the spell, but it's probably better just to take the zombie damage. But another great thing about this hero is Roshan. So when you Flesh Golem, you amp Roshan damage, and when you have your Shard, you put more zombies on Rosh. Undying can solo Rosh. I'm not kidding. You can solo Rosh. I didn't do it this game. I wish I did so I could show you guys. I'm not kidding. You can solo Rosh. So if your team doesn't have any Roshan hero, you can pick Undying, and you can literally solo Rosh with Shard, because you put down the Tombstone, that builds zombies on Rosh, and then you auto-attack them, and those build zombies, and then the zombies tank the Rosh, and you just keep building zombies, and your base attack time is way higher than Rosh, of course. So you build it up. And if it's a real Roshan scenario where the enemy team is contesting, you put a Tombstone on the hill, and it gives, like, literally Gigavision. Like, people don't understand, Tombstone is a ward. It's literally a ward. It's broken in the night. It's really good in the day, and look how much vision it gives in the day. Like, we see everything here. So it's really good in the day, but it's broken in the night. It's straight up broken, because it gives, I believe it gives the exact same vision in the night. So you can imagine how good that is in nighttime if you're trying to take Rosh. And so these hill Tombstones during the night are extremely good. Like, extremely good. I cannot stress how good they are. Because now the enemy, they don't want to get close. If they do, they're going to get zombied, right? The zombies are going to start to stack up. Like, Visage is trying to kill it. But the zombies are starting to stack up. If they're not careful, their blinks are going to get canceled. Like, this Tiny can't go in. And he can't kill the Tombstone. How is Tiny going to kill a Tombstone? And they have to put themselves in a potentially dangerous position to get rid of it. So it becomes a real... it just becomes hell to try to fight Roshan into Undying unless you have very specific heroes like Sniper that can safely kill Tombstone. You know, it's not even that safe, though. Keep in mind, I'm constantly clearing creep waves. I'm not really jungling ever, but you want to nuke creep waves like a lot, otherwise you won't get your next set of items. Most of your gold is going to come from kills and staying alive in fights because you don't really die most of the time, hence the name. But I'm constantly clearing waves because if you don't, you're not going to hit your timings. Like, I do jungle here and it's pretty fast. Like, it is pretty fast. It only takes about 8-9 seconds to kill a camp, which is not bad. It's quite short, but yeah, I'm generally nuking camps. Now, this is the clip I want to show off when it comes to like why you should buy a plate mail instead of like rushing axe. I wish I bought a plate mail. Because you'll see in this clip here, because I only have 8 armor, my physical resist is only 34%, which is pretty freaking low. I'm going to have so much HP, but not a lot of resist, which is why I think a casual cloak and a plate mail can be good. You do have some slot issues if you do that, which is why I think the casual plate mail is generally just better, because as I get gone on here, like, I thought I could honestly turn it around. I couldn't get my Tombstone off because of Cold Snap. It's a bit of a meh matchup. But you can see I start building up some zombies on the Tiny, and he's going to get stuck. But really, the big problem here is the auto attacks from Invoker is hitting for way too much. Like, I'm just getting chunked by autos, which if I wasn't, I'd have probably about 1.2k HP here, and that would be plenty for me to kite out. So I was able to live for quite a bit, but even I end up dying to Visage Bird, so more physical damage, and then a Soul Assumption. But look at this, right? Heroes like Tiny just get, they get stuck. Like, they can't kill the Tombstone, and you're such a good baiter in that regard. Your hero just completely annihilates certain team comps. Like, unfortunately, Visage is a hard Undying counter. I was very nervous to play in a Visage because it's one of the heroes that can actually kill you through your high HP pool because it's such consistent damage, and it kills Tombstone pretty safely. So I was a little bit mad about this matchup, but yeah, you could see the Tiny dies as a result of them going on me, and it could have been way worse if my team was in the area. And in terms of the night vision and going high ground, Undying is one of the best high ground siege heroes in the game, just because of Tombstone night vision and the ability to cancel blinks. I put it down and look what we see, right? Isn't that insane? It's crazy. Like, it's straight up crazy. This is here, it sees the here. It's literally insane. It's a Giga Ward, right? This Tombstone in the nighttime is extremely abusable, and it actually gives us vision of the Monkey King. Like, this Monkey King, he thinks he's safe. He's like, they don't see me. Tombstone literally scouts the Monkey King, trying to make it some sort of flank play, and he dies. And yeah, it's just like, now they initiate, the Tiny's gonna get, actually they killed off the Tombstone as we killed Monkey King, which is a fine trade. I think we'll take that any day. But yeah, at this point in the fights, these dives are a little bit weird, for obvious reasons. You're a melee hero that doesn't really do too much poke damage. You do want to spam the decay, spam the soul rip, like, don't forget, heal your teammates. Like, I think I healed the Prophet here. It's a ton of healing. It's like 300 something. I even took the soul rip talent, so it's like up to 500 something or 600. It's pretty crazy because I healed a NP a lot. So instead of being like a 3rd HP, he's 2/3. So comfortably kills off the Tiny. And now we have our axe. This isn't even where the hero peaks, though. I'll get into that in a moment. The hero peaks at level 20 on his talent, which they buffed. I didn't know they buffed it, but they buffed it. And we'll see that in a moment. So I think we see the first glimpses of that. Not the level 20 talent, but the axe here. As I have 4.5k HP with very little strength stolen so far. But we get on top of the Monkey King, and he's just going to get shredded. Right? And this is why the hero does so much damage, because you're amping all of the damage, right? So even though this guy is theoretically pretty tanky, just a couple supports and not a lot of nukes can take out a core. Like, this guy is not, he's not poor, right? He's like relatively tanky. But it just doesn't matter. And as the fight goes on, we just keep building up strength. Unfortunately, we're not level 20 yet, so let's move on to that. Alright, this is the timer. This is what you all waited for. We got the plate mail. We're going into our Boots of Bearing, which is why I kind of like the Tranquil Boots. They help you just keep your HP up mid-game when it's a little bit hard to heal because you can't decay heroes to heal. Soul Ripping yourself is fine, but it costs a lot of mana, so it's a bit meh to do that. You do actually have mana problems as the game progresses. But now we have plate mail, so we're extremely tanky, up to 55% resistance, right, which is really, really huge. So that's really, really huge. But we most importantly have decay cooldown. It used to be 1.5 seconds. Now it's 2, bringing decay down to a 2-second cooldown, which is insane. So every 2 seconds, you're stealing up to 200 health from a target. Obviously more if you hit multiple heroes. And yeah, let's get into a little bit of a bait situation that comes up. So the enemy team, I think, smokes on me as I'm jungling here. And they jump me, and I'm just going to live. Like, I get off my flesh golem, which should always be your initial response, because the later you pop it, the less HP you get from it. Because it gives you, like, HP kind of based on your current HP. It's weird, but basically pop that right away, and then try to get off Tombstone. Right? So I get off the Tombstone, want to start building up those zombies, and it looks like I'm going to die. Right? It really looks like I'm just about to die. But I get a huge soul rip, which is kind of the reason why the soul rip talent's a little bit nice. It does really feel noticeable on that heal. So I get off the soul rip, and then decay heals as well, right? So I get a huge decay, which gives me 600 HP, right? Wait, that looked like 600 HP. Why would it be 600 though? Because decay is supposed to steal 10 strength, which is 200 HP. And I hit 2 heroes. I don't know why I would have gotten 600 HP, but that's definitely what it looked like. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's because... No, I don't know. I don't know why I got that much. I'll take it, though. I guess this hero's better than I thought. I don't know. But I get gone on, and I'm still alive. Another decay giving me about 250 HP for whatever reason. Another soul rip, another decay. And that's wraps as the zombies start to tank up, to build up. They go on me, they don't kill me, and there you go. The power of the Undying. And you don't really want to be a frontliner with this build. It's actually better that you go in second, because you do a ton of damage. Like, your hero, if you don't get gone on, does wicked damage. Part of the reason why there's builds that don't revolve around Ags as well. And honestly, I think there's a lot of potential to not going Ags. I would try, like, if you're trying the hero, I would just copy this build. Keep it simple for yourself. But I think there's going to be builds that revolve around playing with the shard, such as like a Phase Boots Midas, Phase Boots Drums Midas BKB, something like that. Just like attack speed plus the shard is more than enough, because you can get Roche, and then you can just run in with a BKB and build up zombies on someone. And it's really effective because you're also keeping the amp on them. But alright, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this like build breakdown. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.